What is up, fellas? We are back for another UFC video, and this time we're going to be doing a little tier list video today. I figured I'd do another video for this week because I didn't do a video last week because there was no card or anything. I did my UFC Paris predictions earlier in the week. I'll put the link to that in the description if you guys want to check that out. But today, due to recent events and the UFC championship scene, I've seen a lot of discourse talking about the current era of UFC champions and how cooked we may or may not be. So I figured I would do a tier list with every UFC champion that we have that's active at the moment and rank them by most entertaining. So I've put together a little tier list for you fellas, and we're going to jump right in. We have every standing UFC champion plus Max Holloway. I threw Max Holloway in here. But yeah, we're going to be ranking every single UFC champion from must watch down to Bilal Muhammad here. But yeah, let's jump right in. Kicking us off. Bang. There he goes, right there. Now I put him there. I'm like half kidding. Like I don't think Bilal Muhammad is the least entertaining UFC champion. And I also have the UFC title holders page here, so I can kind of open up their profile and kind of break down some of their performances and just kind of base my opinion off of how entertaining I think some of these fights are. Edwards versus Muhammad, moderately entertaining fight, I would say. It was entertaining to see Bilal actually fraud Jack Leon, but in the end, it was kind of a nothing burger of a fight. This fight sucked cock. Gilbert Burns basically maimed himself on a failed takedown, and Bilal Muhammad did nothing for 5 rounds. This fight was good. This fight was bad. I don't remember this fight, but I feel like it was bad. But in all reality, I made the Bilal Muhammad tier just kind of as a bit because, you know, everybody jokes about how fucking boring Bilal is. I think I'm going to put Bilal Muhammad, I think I'm going to put him at mid right now. Okay? Because maybe he could be moderately entertaining because he does talk about how he wants to be an active champion. And personally, gun to my head, I think I would rather have an like a more mid-tier champion as far as fight entertainment goes that's really active, that fights a lot. I kind of like that. So if he does stay true to his word and stays active, I could bump him up a tier. But Bilal Muhammad right now, he just doesn't finish anybody. Decision merchant, decent skill set, but it's just not for me, really. Next, I have Zhang Wei Li. I'm a little bit undecided as to where I want to put her because she's put on some bangers in her career, but my problem with her is she is very inactive. Like, very inactive. I can probably pull this up, actually. We'll do this. But when you look at the stats, 18 finishes, 11 in the first round. Pretty impressive. Zhang versus Yan, fun fight. Zhang versus Lemos, one of the most one-sided beatings I've ever seen. She saved us from a fucking Carla Esparza title reign. God bless her. Spinning back-fisted Yana and Jacek. 2 losses to Namajunas, unfortunate. And then like a fight of the year contender within Jacek. She's knocked out Andrade in 40 seconds. Like, she's put on some good fights, but she's just too inactive. So I'm gonna put her in the mid tier. I feel weird putting a female champion above a male champion. Is that bad? Is that sexist? But I think she is above the 25-minute piss break tier of champion. Next up, okay. This is what kind of spurred me on to make this video, actually, was people's opinions on 2 guys in this lineup. There's 2 guys in this lineup that I have seen get disrespected by, in my opinion, casual fans. This is one of them. Dricus du Plessis. I've seen people say that this guy's fights are boring, which is fucking crazy to me. He's going and always entertaining. He belongs here. I should have bookmarked some of the tweets I saw talking about this. I don't know how on God's green earth you can think this guy has boring fights. He has 22 wins with 20 finishes. That's fucking ridiculous. That's a 90% finish rate. I'm pretty sure. Off the top of my head, I think so. And he's also the UFC champion that absorbs the most significant strikes per minute. So he's always getting beat up. He finishes everybody. He I don't understand it. And when we look at his fights, Duplessis versus Adesanya, banger, strangled him in the 4th round. Duplessis versus Strickland, competitive 5-round war, fun fight. Finishes Whitaker in 2 rounds, finishes Brunson, finishes Till, has a fight of the year contender with Brad Tavares. That fight fucking ruled. Murders Trevin Giles and murders Perez. Like, this is just his UFC career. His resume is insane. He either finishes these people or he goes to a fucking incredibly entertaining decision. I don't know how you can, outside of just like a bias towards not liking him, like dislike Dricus as a fighter. He's wildly entertaining. And people are like, he's unskilled. He fights like a fucking baboon the way he blitzes in. Is that not entertaining? I love Dricus Du Plessis every single time he fights. And another thing about him, he goes for the finish. There's a lot of champions on this list that I will bring up. When they get a dominant position, Valentina Shevchenko is who I'm talking about mostly. They'll just sit there and just fucking sit in guard for 5 minutes. Dricus will throw a perfectly good position to try and end the fight as fast as possible. I love that in a fighter because that makes the fight entertaining. Next up, our newest crowned UFC champion, Merab Dvalishvili. I fucking don't know where to put Merab. Merab kind of stunk up the joint at 306, but what I will say is I don't think people would have hated the O'Malley Merab fight as much if Grasso and Shevchenko wasn't like top 2 worst female fights of all time. I kind of like Merab a little bit. I think his insane cardio and his insane volume lends him to be more entertaining than a guy like Bilal Muhammad. He doesn't really finish anybody. I'm trying to think of his. I keep forgetting I have this pulled up. I can just look at the recent fights so I can make a better judgment call on what I feel for these guys. O'Malley, kind of a boring fight. I'm not gonna lie, but that was more so because everybody was dejected after watching the fucking snooze fest in the co-main event. This fight was okay. Like it wasn't fucking terrible. This fight was fun versus Cejudo. That was a fun fight. Jan versus Dvalishvili. It was reasonably impressive. It was an impressive performance. This is one of the worst fights I've ever seen. I hate this fight to death. This fight was really entertaining. This fight was okay. I don't really remember Dodson and Merab that well. I think I'm going to put Merab. I think Merab is the king of mid. Like, he's fine. Like, I'm fine with a Merab fight. Maybe I'll put him in moderately entertaining. It's just, I'm never like, oh my god, Merab! When he fights, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, there's another 15 takedown attempts in the last 35 seconds. That's pretty impressive. Moving to Raquel Pennington. Yeah, you're going in the 25-minute piss break. I don't really think anybody's going to argue with me about this one. Do you guys care that she's fighting Juliana Pena? I bet you didn't even know she was. Because nobody fucking cares. Her fight against Mara Bueno Silva was fucking boring as all hell. I don't care about the women's fucking bantamweight division. I'm just going to be honest. Uh, this is the other guy I've seen people have some really interesting takes on entertainment wise is Alejandro Pantoja. Like I see people like the most boring I've seen like the most boring championship lineup in UFC history, and it's Bilal Merab and Pantoja. You guys need to watch your fucking mouths when you're talking about Alejandro Pantoja. Putting him in Bilal and Merab tier is crazy. This guy's got 18 finishes, 11 in the first round, and this guy fights to kill people. When I'll put it this way: when a guy like Bilal Muhammad or a guy like Merab gets you in a good grappling position, what do? They will chunk the round. They will just sit there and chunk the round. You give Alejandro Pantoja a good position over you, he's going to try and break your fucking neck. Yeah, and you look at his recent fights. The Usyk fight was really entertaining, fun fight. People are mad though because it was a close fight and maybe they thought Usyk should have won. That's fine, but it was an entertaining fight. Nobody's gonna act like that fight sucked. Pantoja Royval. This is the only fight that I think was bad in Pantoja's career, or that I think was boring in any way. This fight wasn't the best, and he kind of did what I was talking about when I said he would get a good possession, then just kind of sit there. He kind of gassed really hard against Royval, and this was the one stain, I think, as far as his entertainment value goes in his career. This fight was electric. I can't even remember. This fight was either one fight of the year or was like a contender for fight of the year. This fight was fucking awesome. Everybody loved this fight. People were just kind of pissed that Moreno lost. But, I mean, like, Pantoja just goes at guys and tries to kill them. Just like Perez. He ran at Perez like a fucking junkyard dog and just strangled him so fast. He outmuscled him and just killed him. Strangled Royval, fought Kopp in his debut, which was a pretty fun technical fight. Lost to Askarov, beat Schnell, KO'd Schnell, nobody cares. Fought Figueiredo, absolute fucking war. Like, Pantoja's a guy, he doesn't have a lot of striking technique, but he has a lead chin, and his only direction is forward. I don't know how people are putting him on, like, this tier. It's fucking barbaric to me. I don't know if I want to put him in always entertaining, because he does have that one stinker against Royval. I'm going to put him right now at the top of moderately entertaining. I like Pantoja. Okay, next up it's Max Holloway. I put Max Holloway on here because, I mean, technically he has a belt. It's the BMF belt, but I figured we needed more bodies for the actual tier list. So I put Max Holloway up here. Now, I will preface this. I am not like a Holloway super fan. I love Max Holloway, but he's not like one of my top 5 fighters or anything. So take what I say here with a grain of salt, but I'm putting him in always entertaining. Max Holloway is always good for a fucking banger. Like, he just is. Every fight's a fucking banger, basically. But he's not must watch for me. Like, when Max Holloway's on the card, I'm like, that's going to be a sick fight, but I'm not like, dude, I gotta watch this. You know? But that could just be me not being like a super fan of his. I get it. If you want him on must watch, it makes total sense. Like, I'm not going to argue with you about it. You know, when you break down his fights, you know, the Gaethje fight was electric. Biggest card in UFC history. Delivers a buzzer beater knockout in the 5th round at the last second after pointing to the canvas and sleeps Justin Gaethje. Insanity. Fucking insanity. Before that, he sleeps the Korean Zombie in a fucking banger as well. The Calvin Kattar performance obviously is one people talk about a lot. The 3 fights with Volk weren't the best, besides the 3rd one, but it wasn't good for Max Holloway. But it was an entertaining fight. Like, Max Holloway's just always good. He's always entertaining. That's the perfect caption for that. He just puts on bangers basically every single time. Moving up to Shevchenko. After what you did on UFC 306. Now, I know it was up to Alexa Grasso to fucking use her jiu-jitsu to try and get a sweep and scramble to her feet. But by God, you had 20 fucking minutes of ground control time in her guard. Maybe try and finish the fight with something. You dickhead. Yeah, you're going in piss break for right now. You're on thin ice with me, lady. Moving up to Islam Makhachev. Now, a lot of people might think, nah, Dagestani wrestler, he's not very entertaining. You're fucking wrong. Out of all of the Dagestani guys that fight in the UFC, Islam's my dog. I like Islam's style. He's fun as fuck to watch because he's well-rounded enough to where it's like, I didn't get this takedown on Dustin Poirier. We'll stand in box with this guy for fucking 3 rounds. He's just good for, he's entertaining. I like Makhachev. I like his style, and I like that he's not horrified to stand and bang with a guy who's got really good striking. Put on an insane performance against Volkanovski in the first fight. Knocked him out in the second. Had a very entertaining fight with DP. Finished Charles Oliveira in like 2 rounds when Charles was on his fucking Linsanity run. And the only time Makhachev has really, people been like, oh, he's so boring. It's just because that's not what I wanted to do at all. There we go. People have said like he's boring. Like he's got 17 finishes in his career. But like fights like this against Green on short notice and Hooker, he just finishes these guys too fast. So you're like, it's not that entertaining. He's boring. He just takes him down and finishes them. But once he gets that fight that kind of extends into the later rounds, it's fucking bangers, dude. It's bangers. Like I like Makachev. I like his style. I'm putting him above Pantoja as the current king of moderately entertaining. I like Makachev, but I don't know if I would put him on this tier right now. John Jones, huh? I'm I'm torn on where I put John Jones. Actually, I'm very torn because he has one fight in the last 5 years. Are his fights entertaining? Really? Like the Cyril Gane comeback was nice. The Dominic Reyes fight, the only reason it was entertaining was because John Jones kind of lost this fight. This fight was fucking boring, honestly. This fight was pretty fucking boring. This was a good performance from Jones against Gustafsson. Then against Cormier, 5 rounds against St. Preux. I'm putting John Jones, and I'm also going to preface this. I'm not exactly a John Jones fan. Like, if you want to say he's the greatest of all time, sure, but I just don't really care for him that much. So I'm putting him like fucking. He's moderately entertaining because some of his fights are stinkers, but sometimes he has a really entertaining performance, in my opinion. Moving up to the big man, Alex Poatan Pereira. This guy is, I talked about how like if Bilal was talking about being an active champ, if a guy's an active champion and his fights aren't the most entertaining, I'll bump him up a tier because I value that activity. This guy is always entertaining, and he is very active. This guy has stepped in to save cards. This guy's main evented everything lately, and he's got another main event next week. This guy's in must watch. He is. He is pure entertainment every single time. You know, if you want to say the Blachowicz fight wasn't that good, fair enough. But it's at elevation in his first fight at 205. But you look at his championship resume, brutalized Yuri Prohaska in the second fight, killed Jamal Hill main eventing UFC 300, knocked out Prohaska in the main event in round two. Close split decision win with Blachowicz at elevation. He got KO'd by Adesanya, but then he KO'd Adesanya. This fight was electric. He blasted Sean Strickland into the Shadow Realm. Decision against Bruno Silva, but it was a fun fight though. They just stood and banged for 3 rounds, and then he slept Michaelitis with a flying fucking knee. Like this guy puts on bangers. Especially once he got that 205 title, it was over with. Like this guy has been carrying the UFC, in my opinion. Moving up to our current 145-pound champion, Ilia Topuria, 15-0. I'm putting Ilya in always entertaining. I might even put him above Dricus right now. I like Ilia Topuria. I think his style is really great. He's got big power. He's got some of the cleanest boxing we've seen in the featherweight division. Good low kick game as well. And the motherfucker can grapple too. He's really well rounded, but mainly he puts people to fucking sleep. Now, I'm pretty sure he actually has more submission wins than knockouts, but recently he's just been killing people. Is that true? Yes, it is. He does have more submissions than knockouts. But lately, I mean, he slept Volkanovski, put on a absolute shutout clinic against Josh Emmett, brutalized Bryce Mitchell. Jai Herbert died. Killed Ryan Hall, killed Damon Jackson. Like he just puts people to fucking sleep, dude. I like Ilia Topuria. He's got to be an always entertaining because every single fight he goes out there with the sole intention of putting your fucking lights out, and he does that very proficiently. So yeah, he's got to be an always entertaining. And now our heavyweight interim champion, but our real heavyweight champion. If you know ball, you know Tom Aspinall. I'm putting Tom Aspinall as the second man in must watch under Alex Pereira, but he's there because it boggles my mind how he keeps killing heavyweight contenders in under 1 minute. It doesn't make any sense. I'm pretty sure if you take Sergey Pavlovich, Curtis Blades, and Alexander Volkov, like that combined fight time against all three of those guys, I'm pretty sure is like 5 minutes total. It's fucking insane. Every time, like when he has a fight scheduled, you're like, how fast is he gonna kill this guy this time? How fast is he gonna sleep this guy? Is it gonna be under a minute this time? It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. He's fucking crazy. I love Tom Aspinall. I get excited every single time this guy gets a fight booked because I know what's coming. You know what I mean? He's gonna go out there like a bat out of hell in the first round and put a guy to sleep or sub a guy. You know, he fucking hit a beautiful takedown on Volkov and hit him with I think it was a key lock or a straight armbar or something and finished him. He's just so good and he finishes everybody. Tom Aspinall's must watch TV, as well as Alex Pereira. I think this is a pretty good tier list. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I think I cooked here. But if you would make any changes, let me know. Voice your opinion in the comment section. Start a dialogue. I answer every comment. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.